Greetings to you all. Hopefully you can see and hear me well. I know I've had some audio issues in the past. Okay, but that's neither here nor there. So I know this is like a funny one, but I have just been getting into my authentic self, and I wanted to start sharing with you guys some of my stories and just background about me and my journey. So I was watching a Queen of Full Sacred Woman chat, and it just got me to thinking about how this journey even began for me about, well, exactly 6 years ago. It's yeah, this month would make it 6 years in a month. So I was thinking back to how initially and early on in my journey, before I even, got my hands on Sacred Woman, just how the ancient ones or just my higher self was literally asking me to trust and listen and be intuitive and to really go with the flow of what was happening around me. So something that kept occurring for me, which you're going to hear me talk about quite often because it's so significant to me, and I do receive a lot of visions and dreams, but at that time I wasn't, like as aware as I am now. So I was for 2 months straight having the same dream. And that sounds funny, but I go back and I read journals from that time, and I would literally be writing about the same dream over and over again. So much so that later on in my journey I decided to go ahead and record a story to illustrate what that dream looked like. So I would have this recurring dream, and I would be walking through this, what looked to me like a field getting ready for harvesting, or rather getting ready for planting. That's what I should say. So it would be these long rows, and they would be soaking wet, like rain had just come down the night before, and I would see my feet going through these rows over and over again. And I'd look to my left and I'd see trees, and I look to my right and I'd see like open field, the field that hadn't been plowed. Basically, it wasn't transformed into rows. And then I would look down and I'd see my feet continuously moving forward in this mud, and it would just, every step that I would take, my feet would get deeper and deeper and sink further and further into this mud. And then finally I would come to a stopping point in one of these rows, and the mud would start to get lighter and lighter, and it would feel as though I was being lifted out. And from my knees down to my feet, I would be covered in, this thick dark chocolate mud. But from my thigh up to my head, I would be engulfed in this white clothes that were so clean, and it would always be such a contrast of how muddy I was at the bottom half, and then how clean and white and I guess you could say pure I would be at the top. And I had that dream every night, 2 months straight. Okay. During that time too, I was coming into a lot of transitions in my life. I was learning a lot about myself. When I first came into this journey, I was 23 years old. So I was just trying to figure out put the pieces of the puzzle together. And a lot of what I would do at that time was go back to things that made me feel comfortable, or rather things that I would know from my childhood. So a film that always called out to me, and I have to say called because I used to watch this film over and over and over again. Like, you have those songs and those films where them back and forth. Like, you can walk out the room and come back just at the time where such and such is about to do such and such, and it's like, because I would have watched that film. That film came out the year of my birth in 1993, and that was always significant to me anyways. I first saw that film at age 4, and I had been watching that film forever. So from 4 to 23, I cannot tell you the amount of times I had watched that film. And when I was going through that transition period, I always had this call: go watch What's Love Got to Do with It. Go watch What's Love Got to Do with It. I mean, for me, Tina Turner and even Angela Bassett as the character, but Angela Bassett as a woman, they are both so empowering. They're like, to me, even though she did end up playing Queen Mother, but she embodies that essence. Like, every role that she plays, I see her true essence behind that. Okay, so I always went to that movie for encouragement. I always went to that story for encouragement, because it's bigger than a movie, right? Like, I had studied the book and everything. I had went back and started, like I was that type of film junkie anyways, where I would go and find out what, all the details and read the books, hear the actual interviews, all of that good stuff. So I was really into, that the story behind the woman that is Tina Turner, the woman that was Anime Bullock. But that around that time, after having that dream, over and over again, and then consistently watching that movie, I didn't realize how many little subtle details were in that film that were like a part of my own truth and my own process, right? So, at that time, I wasn't identifying as being part of any like religious group. Of course, I was raised as a Christian woman, but I've always been very, 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 very open and spiritual. I am one that believes, I'll continue to say, about the unification of us all, because it doesn't matter who you go to, who you talk to, the stories all start to sound the same. We're all vibrating from the same frequency of love. So that's neither here nor there. So I literally would listen to this film and be chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo as a child, not for the understanding, but I vibrated with that. I felt that. I was in tune with that. And I know it might have been like jovial, or running around the house chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, doing Daimoku. You're not even doing, to the extent, but it's part of the process, right? It's part of your alignment. So I watched this film, and I remember, one night after having watched this film, literally having to watch this film again, I was online typing in random stuff, doing research on nothing, because by this time the question that I asked, which I'm not even going to really discuss in detail because that's for another day, but I had asked the internet a question that I already knew the answer to, and I knew that there would be no doctor, no researcher that was going to answer this question. So I know now, being who I am, that my higher self was leading me somewhere, and in doing so, how you looked up something and all the links are purple? I had looked up so many things and researched so many different things that all the links that were popping up were purple. So I'm like, Kira, what are you even looking at? And so I scroll back up to the top, about to get out of there, go find something else, and I find that book. The Sacred Woman book was like a little tiny icon at the top of my search bar, and I was like, what is this? Like, this is like the coolest book I've ever seen. I even described it in my journals as this lavender, it glowed. Like, I mean, I know this sounds exaggerated, but I was just like, is this what I was looking for? So I buy that book. I buy the digital copy right then and there. I'm like, whatever this is, I want to be part of it. Let me get this book. I start reading it. Okay, let me tell you, I want to read this to you before I even touch back in to the correlation between the film, the dream, and then me finding this book in that time. All right, so it says, coming home to our true selves. We are the original Lotus people, sweet, beautiful, illuminating, spiritual, and compassionate. The consciousness of one who lives in the Lotus state is Nefer Adam, a being of pure light who evolves out of the mud of challenge, where the Lotus seed is fertilized and grows upward to blossom into a wondrously beautiful soul of light. Asar, or Osiris, the first Lotus master, is depicted on temple walls and papyrus scrolls with the lotus growing out of his feet. The priestesses were Lotus women who wore lotus blossoms in their headbands. All right, so I told y'all about that dream and how I would, same dream, 2 months every night. So I'll get to reading this book. I'm going in. I literally stayed up that entire night to the morning time. That's not uncommon with me. If I get into something, I'll stay up. But I stayed up because I felt like something was talking to me directly. Like, hi kid, hi my child, this is for you. So I do what I do. I get into this whirlwind, and I'm like, I need to watch my comfort film. I need to, the little girl in me loves that film so much. She goes there, like that is her place to go rest. So I put that film on in the middle of the day, because I remember being off that day. I put the film on in the middle of the day. Now, many days I've watched this movie, I literally had just watched the film before I even, bought that book later that night. I think I bought this book around midnight, honestly. The digital copy. So I watched this film. It's maybe noon, 1 The film starts, and this is the first thing that comes up, and you all know it if you've watched this movie. The lotus is a flower that grows in the mud. The thicker and deeper the mud, the more beautiful, the more beautiful the lotus blooms, right? And then they translate that into that Buddhist chant, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Now, if you know, that was Tina Turner's anchoring. That was her, basically, that was her saving grace. That was her grace from the Most High to transform her and redirect her on her path and to take her home. And something that I noticed when watching this film again was even early on in her journey, when Ike first comes to her mother's home and, you know, asks her mother permission for her to come over and sing that first night, there's a song that she sings, and I'm not even sure if I had the name of the song right, but I know it as Made Over. I Want to Be Made Over. The first song that she's singing in this film, you know, as part of her, because she's making another transition. She's left her grandmother's home in the country. She's moved up into the city with her mother, which is a huge transition from what she's used to anyways. She gets into a singing group. One of the first songs she even sings, she is literally reciting mantra. She may not be reciting mantra in the way that we know today after having so many people have done the work to get this information out to us, but she was reciting mantra. When she was saying, I want to be made over, Lord, make me over, make me new, make me nice, you know, she was saying things like, I want to go places. To me, I hear, I am expanding. And she did. She expanded. I hear her saying, Most High, making me a new spirit. I want to be made over. That's alignment. You know, it's those little things that trigger our healing journey. These are things that wake us up and get us turned into that spiritual and ascended one that we are supposed to be. Something as simple as, I want to be made over. That's how the film starts. So just imagine the process, because this is a real life story. So just imagine the process this woman had to take to get this information out to you and I. And the beautiful thing about the process is there's going to be some times you look back and you're going to laugh, like it was right there in my face. Everything was right there in my face. Who I am, it was already being cultivated from the start. That film was put out the very year that I was born. I was born in January of 1993. Not trying to put my age out there, but hey, you're going to be as youthful as you feel. So in 1993, the work was already being done for us, okay? We were in our mother's wombs being prepared to come into this birth. And they were already saying, let me enlighten you. Let me lead the way. That film has saved me so many times. As a young girl, as a child, you know, because she goes through so many phases, so many different processes, and I just felt like this is the perfect time to talk about this, you know, because this is a real part of my story, and this is a real part of so many other journeys. I can only imagine how many people have been inspired by that film. But the way that film touched me, the way I was like, wait a minute. I remember just pausing the film and saying, wait a minute. Because I do that, like when I'm like, Most High, I hear you, but I was like, wait a minute, wait, what is this? Did she just say, after I just read about the Lotus people, the Smai Tawi, wait, what? And then you keep making me have the same dream. Are you telling me that I am that I am? Oh, okay. And honestly, I feel like I can leave that there for you guys, because I just want the journey to be real and authentic. I'm going to share with you as much as I can, as purely and as openly as I can. There is no shame in my game, okay? I know I can be a little bit out there, but when you have a higher power that's always connecting from way out there, you don't mind going far. You don't mind spaceships and, you know, having these conversations with people and letting them know, like, the Most High is trying to reach you. And not just the Most High, like, the ancients been trying to reach you for minutes. Especially if you know for a fact you ancient, if you know you've been up in the solar system a few times. They just want you to reconnect and bring it forward, bring it on forward, you know? Because things are literally, the dreams that I have, the old is going to be the new. So all that old stuff, that's going to be your new life. The ancient ways will be the very ways that save you now. We had Tina, who grew up in the same Christian church. She remember that opening scene. She was singing. Her true purpose and power got her kicked out of the church. That voice got her kicked out of church. And throughout her journey and her transformation, she started to open up to way more than what she just, than what she was just confined to. And we need that. We need that. Like, don't be in fear of. When the Most High is opening all these doors for you to see in advance, walk through them. Walk through them with discernment, and also ask for covering and protection, just to make sure that you are going down the right path. All right, so I'm gonna leave that here for y'all. Hopefully you like this video. Comment, subscribe, and of course leave your stories down below. Bye.